So, hi, good afternoon, all of you. It's quite a big hall here. It's an honor to be here at this stage. Last year, we visited this conference in Amsterdam, and afterwards we said to each other, wow, wouldn't it be great if we could share our story? And now here we are, so thanks for inviting us, and let's hope you can enjoy our story. We will use the next 20 minutes to talk you through some of the lessons that we've learned on our quest of designing and implementing a service design-based way of working that actually clicks into ING's Agile Way of Working. And I think we have succeeded to raise the awareness and the service design maturity level from inside out of our organization. But let's first start by pointing out that we are not service designers. You can see we are consultants, but I do see a parallel in our work. And the parallel has something to do around seeing a real need and empathizing with the people that have the need, and then creating something that fits the need. So, in preparation to this talk, we took a trip down memory lane to really think about all the work that has been done and the choices that we've made along the way. And there's loads that we can tell you, lots of choices. But I think we managed to pull out some key messages that we think are worthwhile sharing. And before we do that, let's take you back to the beginning of this journey, to where it all started. And for that, we will have to take you back 2 years in time. Because in July 2015, ING, domestic bank, so the Netherlands, they made a radical change to their organizational model. Inspired by companies such as Google and Netflix and Zappos and Spotify, we decided to integrate business and IT and create multidisciplinary teams that we like to call squads nowadays. And it's good to get you also an understanding of the complexity that we work in. So let's share some of the numbers.
So you'll do my clicking then, Maddie?
I'll do that,
Thank
yeah.
you. So we want to introduce this model to you just by showing you a little bit of the size and the complexity we're operating in. And this model actually addresses only the delivery organization of the domestic bank in the Netherlands. There are about 2,500 people working in the delivery organization. And other areas within the domestic bank also started working agile, but in a slightly different way. So this model really is all about the delivery organization. So in this model, we no longer have separate functions like product managers, marketeers, channel managers. They all had to apply for a new function called the customer journey experts. And we now have 750 customer journey experts working in ING headquarters. And alongside with DevOps engineers, with data analysts and UX designers, they make up a squad. And a squad is an autonomous team and purpose-driven. So we're now working in 13 tribes and 6 centers of expertises like HR, change, and risk. We have 350 squads and 750 customer journey experts. So that's quite a lot. And we do have 2 types of tribes. We have experienced tribes and we have service tribes, just to make it a little bit more complex. Experienced tribes, they are responsible for the customers up until the selection phase of the customer life cycle. And the service tribes are responsible for the customers once they have chosen ING. So the complexity is there is not one owner of the end-to-end customer journey. There are a lot of interdependencies across squads, but also across tribes, which makes it almost impossible to achieve end-to-end responsibility for all these 350 squads. There is lots more to say about this model, but we only have 20 minutes. So I hope this gives a rough idea of the context we are operating in. And we will include a short link into the presentation, a link to a short video, which will explain the model more in detail. Click. Thanks. So, ING's purpose: empower people to stay a step ahead in life and in business. That's our purpose. Maybe you've heard of it. I actually hope you've heard of it. And we have this strategic priority: creating a differentiating customer experience. So once we heard about the customer journey experts that were selected, we thought, well, they really get it. We are starting to work with customer journeys to achieve this differentiating customer experience. So we expected to pop up, the journey maps would pop up all over the place, and that people would start working with jobs to be done, a value proposition canvas, and you name it, but they didn't. Not at all, actually. The reality was that they were really struggling to fill in this new role of the customer journey expert. They were really putting a lot of time and effort in getting familiar with the Agile way of working, and they didn't really think about this new role, or this new function. What is expected of me as a customer journey expert? How am I responsible for creating this differentiating customer experience? So a lot to think about, and some customer journey experts really did. They were wondering how to fill in this role, and they didn't get any help from inside ING. So they started talking with external service design agencies. But we noticed that they all came with slightly different approaches, slightly different wording, and it's all about language. We heard that in other tracks. So it didn't feel good. So we decided to provide a solution and provide some help. I really need to take a sip of water. In order to avoid my ugly cough. You don't want me coughing up here in my mic. So, we thought the best way to help our colleagues was to design a structured but uniform approach, integrated in the Agile way of working. And that approach was really actually a logical flow, a combination of logical activities which focused on customer needs and customer journeys, which started at the problem phase, right up until the delivery phase. And besides a uniform approach, it's also provided a common language, and it also provided in a blueprint for the way in which the various expertises and the various functions could collaborate with each other. So we started up collaborating with 3 colleagues, and one of them was Ron Kersik. He's in the room right now, and maybe you've heard his talk in the previous track on ecosystem, and if you didn't, you missed out on a great track. But these 3 colleagues were already capturing existing best practices within ING, preventing them from getting lost within this big transformation. So we hooked up with them, and that was actually the start of a long, intensive, very positive co-creation. And we started by combining elements of these existing practices with elements of external practices like service design and lean startup. And we took a very agile approach. We didn't know what the outcome would look like, but we knew what our colleagues' problems were and which was the context they were operating in. So we launched MVPs. We learned from the feedback we received. And along the way, different colleagues came to us asking us to let them in our little co-creation team. They wanted to help creating the solution. So together we made this approach better and more comprehensive, and adding expertise like persona development, data analysis, and qualitative customer journey research. So co-creation really worked well for us.
Right, and then once we were quite satisfied with the approach that was designed, we also had to think about how to go about implementing it into the tribes. So we figured, let's do a pilot training. And we found 4 squads that were willing to guinea pig our pilot. And also we thought it would be sensible to do this together with an external agency to bring in the necessary design expertise. And to be honest, this turned out to be quite frustrating. And I think we were looking to provide a training that really did right to our newly designed integrated approach. And they were holding on to their more holistic view of service design. And that resulted in a straight mismatch between our result-driven colleagues and their more holistic approach. I think it just didn't help the colleagues to take service design back into their real world and apply it in daily practice. Which was a shame, but it did give us a lot of learnings. And I think, in hindsight, now looking back at that, I can better understand the struggle between us and that agency. We did have some struggles. But I think we really weren't trying to implement or to train service design at its purest shape or form. At that stage, we really wanted to trigger a new mindset. We wanted a mindset for change, and we used service design to reach that. And I think we were willing to compromise on the quality as long as we could trigger our colleagues to step into this new mindset, because that was needed most. And after that experience, we thought, okay, so, we're probably better off designing this training ourselves. Let's do it. And also, we decided it's probably also the easiest and fastest way to spread this new approach by using the train-the-trainer model. And that meant that we had to really empower our colleagues. So we went back to the ones who helped us before, and we said, guys, are you in for it? Let's do it. And we designed the full pack: training materials, supporting materials, facilitator notes, whatever. So just before the start of the summer holiday, we piloted our first train-the-trainer. And I guess all the train-the-trainer sessions that followed after that has taught us the real value of empowering colleagues and embracing first followers. Because to be honest, quite often we had this mixed audience in front of us, of colleagues, some of whom we thought, okay, these guys, they're gonna nail it. They're good, they get it, this is good news. Always, there were also some of those we thought, okay, they're never gonna do this, this is... And then there was this large middle group. And I think we were often proved right about the front runners and the ones staying behind. And the good news is that we were always surprised by the middle group. I think all of them, most of them, really turned into enthusiastic trainers who took it on, and they put a lot of effort into getting their fellow tribe members on board on this new mindset and this new way of working. And another nice side effect of having all these colleagues who are doing this around you is that we act as a sort of like a constant nudge to each other. Every time when we run into each other, we're thinking, oh yeah, maybe I should do more, or maybe I should do better, and so that's a real good side effect. They really became a leading coalition, and we wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't for them. So I can imagine that some of you out there are thinking, okay, so using the train-the-trainer model, how can we ensure consistency? How can we ensure quality? And to be honest, that was never our biggest concern. And we maybe even allowed or encouraged our colleagues to slightly change or adapt the training, as long as they would be true to the 4 key or core principles that were at the core of our methodology and approach. Training and approach. And those 4 key principles, they are: always take the outside-in perspective, so always from a customer view. Oh gosh, I'm not going to forget the second one. Well,
Job to be done.
Sorry, yeah. Always from a customer need. Find the real need, job to be done. The third one is use data-driven decision-making. And the last one is validate your assumptions. And these 4 core principles, they truly reflect the mindset that we really want to lock into the DNA of all our squads. And this picture, it's a pendulum, and you can compare it to a pendulum maybe. As long as you have the principles that form the anchor points of what you're trying to achieve, it's up to you to decide if you want the results to swing, have within a certain bandwidth. And if you really steer on the consistency of the results and the outcome, you might encounter that people are reluctant to take ownership, and it feels like a straitjacket to them, and they're like, okay, I have to do it this way. And I think we found, because we allowed for a bit of freedom, a bit of bandwidth to swing, that they took it on, and they took ownership, and they use their own creativity to make it better. So I think that really works. Define the core, the anchor points, but also dare to let go of consistency.
So since the start of this agile transformation, there's always been a strong belief within the board of directors that customer experience really belongs to the squads. And we knew along the way that we had to build in more service design capacity, but organizing service designers within a central team or central department just wasn't an option. But at least for now, we believe that for the next 2 or 3 years, we need this extra capacity just to improve our approach and improve the training, keep feeding the trainers and feed the community, our followers, but also find and share best practices that arise and start to arise from the tribes. So we are a little bit struggling which model would best fit our current organizational model, but we have lots of ideas. And I'm sure we'll get better, and we'll get there. And we're thinking about developing a customer experience strategy. We're thinking about metrics. We're thinking of building up capacity. So a lot of ideas are in our heads. There's lots to do. Click. Yeah. But there's also been a lot achieved. And the first thing is that we have complemented ING's Agile Way of Working with a service design approach. And this approach is also acknowledged by ING headquarters, ING Group. And in the next coming months, our approach will be implemented in other countries. Besides that, we have trained 150 squads in changing and in adopting this new mindset, and we've provided training for other areas within the organization, like HR, black belts, agile coaches, risk, finance, you name it. Also, we have
the whole shebang.
The whole shebang. We covered it. We also have a very involved community of 80 colleagues, and at least 40 of them are also very active trainers. But maybe the best result is when we get invited to visit a tribe, stand-up, and where the squads tell about the insights they have gained while using our approach, and the complete different approach they used on coming to a better solution and improving customer journey, where they deviated from their original thoughts and original ideas and started building something the customer really needs. So, coming to the end of this presentation, there are 4 key takeaways which we want to recall. First, mindset or craftsmanship. Service design should really fit a need. If not, chances are it will not flourish. So when implementing service design into a big organization, really be aware of the objective you want to achieve. Is it a change of mindset, or is it craftsmanship? And when implementing service design to trigger this new mindset, don't be afraid to compromise on quality. Second, empower colleagues and create a leading coalition. An internal network can be so powerful. Never underestimate that. There are lots of colleagues that have experience and have specific expertise if you start looking for them. And empowering your colleagues will make sure you have the best promoters within the organization. The third is let go of consistency. Mehdi told you, be tough on the principles, but really let go of consistency if necessary. And the last, build in more capacity as you go. If you think service design fits a need, just start doing it. Learn along the way, scale up along the way, and improve along the way.
Right, so as a final note to our presentation, I want to compare our work to gardening. And I think we've been working really hard to work the ground and to open it up for the service design seeds that we've been sowing. And while we were at it, we watered the seeds, we created optimal conditions for growth, and often we thought, wow, why is anything growing? What are we doing wrong? And so we put in much more hard work and we're very devoted until suddenly there came this day and we looked up and we looked around us and we thought we saw beautiful things growing and popping up all around us. So if you find yourselves in our position one day, here's our message. Be dedicated, be patient, and don't forget to look up every now and then because beautiful things will start happening. Thank you. This is our talk.